Well, I don't usually do videos during the week, as most of you know, but I got the blood pumping a little bit and had some things to talk about, so I thought I would take to the camera tonight. I've been looking for something. Many of you can probably tell this. I've been looking for something all year to get my head into this trading game and really get into it as much as I was last year. And I think the last couple of days of blogging might just have done it. I just want to follow up a little bit on the comments over the past couple of days that were spurred uh, by an analysis that someone had done on my '08 results. And the more I've thought about it, the more I kind of think that uh, maybe it's time to get serious about '09 again. And I guess what I mean by that is I'm always up for a challenge. And if you see a little twinkle in my eye tonight, it's really, I think, the result of the last couple of days, where I think it was suggested to some extent that a lot of what I did was primarily because I was a market maker in essence on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And actually, I didn't sleep a whole lot last night because I kept running numbers through my head, and it just didn't add up. Um, and that's why I posted this morning's post that talked more about the real numbers in terms of if you normalized for the CME member commissions and went to a retail commission structure, that sure, the results wouldn't have been as good, but by and large they still would have been more than fine. And let's just make sure we have all the facts on the table, before we start questioning too much in terms of how things are done. And again, I thought it was a great argument. I thought Austin made some great points, and again, I've got a lot of respect for everybody in this industry. I just happen to disagree in that area, and I'll let the facts talk for themselves. He did make a couple of good points again in terms of just because you are a member doesn't guarantee success, and I thought he was right on there. But this really to me gets to one of my frustrations right now, really with the entire industry and with even things that you see on television right now, and there's so much darn doom and gloom out there. It's getting sick. Every magazine you pick up. I was getting a pizza tonight, and I was watching the TV while I was ready to get my dinner, and I'm listening to CNN or something, and they're talking about all this doom and gloom and the market this and all these companies are failing and people are losing jobs. And as I mentioned in the last '08 post, I'm certainly very sympathetic to people that are going through some hard times. I really am. But come on, we've got to tighten our bootstraps or tighten our belt or whatever it is, and let's not get caught up in this doom and gloom. I'm a big believer in life is what you make it. I'm a big believer in not just simply waiting for handouts and waiting for someone else to help you. I'm all for taking the bull by the horns and getting your hands dirty and figuring out my gosh, if there's a way to do it, let's figure out how to do it and let's go do it. Let's stop complaining. And so I'm seeing that a lot in the general press. Forget about trading, but I'm seeing that a lot in the general press. And maybe one of the reasons I want to talk tonight is I just want to get that off my chest. Um, I think life is what you make out of it, and come on, it's the exact opposite of what we saw in the late '90s and the early 2000s when the market was just going up, 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 up. That's in more late '90s, of course, and everybody was all giddy, and everyone was getting rich and all that kind of stuff, and now all those people, or a lot of those people, are broke. They didn't hang on to what they had. They didn't recognize it was a phase. They didn't adapt. And they couldn't keep that even keel, and it's just so easy to get caught up, I guess, in mass emotion, and maybe that's why I enjoy trading so much, and poker is as well, in terms of just trying to keep that even keel and trying to take the other side of it at times, and in essence profiting through understanding what's going on in the marketplace. Um, again, I'm not a long-term investor at all, but I swear with all the doom and gloom going on out there with real estate and stock values and all that kind of thing, and please, I'm not recommending a darn thing, and I never would on this site, but my personal opinion is, probably a pretty good time to buy, and please, it's not a recommendation. I don't know. I'm just sick of it. And again, the good debate that we've had over the past couple of days really also touches on. I think some look at those that might be successful and question, how that can happen, or they're not successful, and therefore, something's got to be wrong, and so let's poke some holes in it. And again, I'm sure that was not the intention. And again, I don't want to go there, but it just got me thinking a little bit. And I mean, come on, let's be out there and support each other. And again, the numbers last year were what they were, and again, certainly they're benefited by reductions in costs. But anyway, enough of that. I was thinking again along the same topic, power of positive thinking. It's somewhat of a spiritual book, of course, but there's great stuff in here that if you are in the doldrums, that it's a great read. There's a comment in here, page 90, where basically it talks about a teacher helping a young man who was having a terrifying vision. He had fear, basically, of not being able to do something, and I guess he was a high jumper. And he said, he says it's one of the wisest remarks he's ever heard. And he said, "Throw your heart over the bar, and your body will follow." And that's kind of stuck with me at times, in terms of, especially last year when I had those real rough days, in terms of just coming in and performing and letting the results fall as they do. And I guess I kind of have that in the back of my mind every time I sit down a trade, regardless of what the last day was. There's always a little bit of fear in my mind, admittedly, that I might all of a sudden lose it, in terms of losing the edge, in terms of coming in or starting some kind of really funky slump. And maybe that's enough to keep me from doing it. Again, I think I mentioned last year's. I had, what was it, maybe a couple of 3-day slumps or 3-day losses. I think it was 1 or 2 throughout the year. I'm really astonished. I mean, there's a couple of days to go in January, and tomorrow or Friday could easily be a loss because I'm due. But it's kind of sick in a way to kind of look back and wonder when that's finally going to hit, and it will. So you just keep showing up day after day. What else do I want to talk about? The countdown clock. I only have 10 minutes for those new to this on YouTube. I'm really thinking about resurrecting this after hour thing. I've been watching Poker After Dark a lot. I tape it during the day and then I watch it at night. And I'm watching the guys right now. If you follow, they're doing the Mayfair Club, where these guys used to trade, or used to used to play cards together years ago, and it's really great to watch. These guys are playing cards. They're professionals. They're not jumping up and down. They're not hooting and hollering. They're talking poker. They're talking the past. They're talking shop, and I kind of like that idea, and I'm thinking about resurrecting what we tried to start doing last year with what I would call an aftermarket lounge. The interest in the blog since then has certainly grown, and I kid you not, the hits have doubled in the last week or so. I mean, it's just incredible. We're up to almost 1,000 hits a day, 1,000 visitors a day here. And again, I'm not selling anything, folks. And please understand, if you're new to this, I'm not saying look at what I'm doing, or gee, everybody should trade and they can make money from it. Again, go to the FAQs and that'll put that to rest hopefully real quickly. But we got something going here collectively, and I think we ought to look at this and figure out how we can continue to use it, how we can continue to morph it or modify it or grow it for the benefit of everybody. And again, if it's nothing more than a motivational tool for everybody, I know I certainly benefited from it. It gives me an opportunity to vent. It gives me an opportunity certainly to continue my live diary to myself. We've had some great dialogue over the last couple of days. I'd like to keep it going. Let's keep the blood pumping, and you might be able to tell I'm more excited right now than I have been in a while, and maybe it took a good debate to get me going, and I'm going to take a hard look over the weekend at 09 targets and see where I want to go with it. So anyway, I want to get that off my chest. Forget all the doom and gloom out there. Let's make life what it is. Let's have some fun. Let's challenge ourselves, and I'm looking forward to 09. I really am looking forward to the rest of 09. I feel good. I feel rested, and want to move on. So have a great night. We'll catch you later.